Welcome to another episode of the Fomoball podcast. That was my Tanmay but impression. Anyways, so we've been talking about football. We've been talking about games that's happened over the week, probably in the Premier League mostly, but we've also spoken about La Liga, Bundesliga, and all. We're thinking of doing things a little differently from this week, which is not to just talk specifically about games, but then the talking points that's probably occurred and what people are. I mean, some instances people are happy with, some instances making people furious with. We thought we'll do that from probably this game week onwards. So, anyways, since we have Harsh here, who's a Barca supporter, so we'll start with La Liga for this episode. Yeah, we'll start with La Liga. So, Barca right now is league leaders, and to put it into perspective, how good they are, fifth place team in La Liga is Villarreal, who's 9 points adrift Barca. Chelsea, who's fifth in the Premier League, is just 3 points away from Man City, which just shows how impressive that Barca has
I
made a
think
start with.
Kaushik, that's just you trying to make yourself feel better, but it's okay.
No, but I mean, like, see, I don't get to be fifth, like based on like last couple of years. But then Barca being first is very impressive. Now, the one thing which I'd like to like probably what Harsh can say better is how has Lewandowski become so good? Because I think he's the highest scorer right now in the league. And how is Barca able to manage despite all the injuries that you've had? You've still won, kept a clean sheet, and yeah, what's the secret?
I mean the secret is in my photo. Like you can see it right here. So I mean he's the somebody I heard somebody say I was watching one video of this like football YouTuber guy, and he said that the best signing Barcelona has made this season is him. So that's like the most accurate description of our transfer season, like transfer this we have made this summer. And yeah, it's just him. I knew. So I think the way I can explain it is he is performing, Hansi is performing exactly how we expected Xavi to perform, because Xavi is or Xavi was like obviously the guy of the man of the club, and all the philosophy, everything, all of those things. And the only thing that differentiates him from Flick is like lack of experience, which is like at the topmost level. Like we know that how much Hansi has worked, and not just in Bayern. Like he's worked as like assistant coaches. He's worked under Joachim Low in the German national team, and he's done so many other different things. And he's been like observing Barcelona for about 20 odd years now. So there is like absolutely no distance between what he knows about the club and what the club is. And when it comes to Lewandowski, exactly the same thing. Manager and player, relationship. They've worked together. They know each other so well. And Lewandowski last season was performing in a different kind of a, you know, profile. And Hansi has just got him back, right back to his basics. He's more of a, camping in the box kind of a striker now. He's more near the box rather than, the somebody who's carrying the ball from the center or carrying the ball from the kickoff line. So I guess it's just basics. He had to bring it all back to basics and then introduce his own formula of, German football in between it. And injuries, I mean, injuries in Barcelona have a very long history anyway. So there is absolutely nothing new about it. We knew about it like since time immemorial that this has been going on. This was going on during the time of like Valverde and Setien and Koeman and all of these different coaches, and it's still going on. So I have no clue what kind of a medical department we have going on, what Narnia kind of a medical department that we have. Like people, like players just go there and they just disappear for like ages and ages. Like I just remembered that we still have Christensen on our payroll. Like I did not even remember that he still exists. Like that's how long our list of injuries is, and he like so many and it's gotten to the point where obviously you play the players that you have, and the players that we have are youth players, right? Like players from the B team or La Masia kids, and even they are starting to get injured now. Balde just came back from an MCL. Gavi is still getting his ACL fixed. He is still not back fully. Ansu is still not back fully. Frankie is again in like a shadow realm that we don't even know about. And again, Pedri is like just like a coin toss. Like we don't we like today he's fine, tomorrow he won't be. Like it's just like that. Danny Olmo again, and he already had injury issues before it, like before the we signed him, so we knew that. So it just seemed like a perfect fit that we're just signing an injury-prone player. It's just like a Barcelona way at this point to just sign those kind of players, I guess. And yeah, it's just all across the board. Like Araujo is still not back. I don't even know. And then the latest tragedy is Ter Stegen. So even with even with injuries, being able to survive all these different games, and we all know like we've seen those kind of Burnley and Nottingham Forest away type of games in La Liga. We have those exact same games where you just have to you just have to thug it out with like 1-0 like victories, and that's exactly what happened with Getafe last week or this week, sorry. And yeah, I mean, I had doubts before uh, Hansi was announced, and I was a little bit skeptical. But then he's picked up right where he left off in the like in the Bayern team, and that way I think that it's just anything that he also fun fact for the people who are listening to this, the game that got Hansi Flick sacked from the German national team was the game in which he played Ter Stegen instead of Neuer. So make of that what you will. And that's exactly the game that got him sacked. Like he lost to, I think it was Japan, I guess, to like he lost to Japan
Yeah, I think 2-1.
3-1, yeah, 2-1 or 3-1 something. And it's just, I mean, we should not speak ill of the dead, but Ter Stegen is just, I mean, you cannot like
Uh,
you need a separate episode for just
I think
me and
Harshkaran,
Warren.
you guys have ended up inadvertently signing up an upgrade on him, even though you're
Yes,
getting a guy out of retire, literally out of retirement.
exactly. No,
You
he's
kind of have an
definitely.
upgrade on him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know it's definitely an upgrade, and he's the first like 6 foot and above goalkeeper we have had in the past 10 years. So I mean, it's just it's just the audacity of this club to have that same guy in between the sticks for 10 years is just something that is beyond me. Like I don't understand why though they didn't even bother thinking about replacing him long ago. But yeah, again, I today is not the day to speak ill of the dead. So
okay.
we will talk about Ter Stegen in another episode.
Yeah. Ter Stegen became the David De Gea of Barcelona. But
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. That and even worse because he has more disaster class performances than master classes, and you can actually write down a list. Like I saw it on Twitter the other day. Some guy had noted down all of the disaster class performances that he has had. Like you know how we say that, oh, Mbappe 2018 World Cup final, or like Mbappe 2022 World Cup final, or Messi against Eibar, all of those things, or like Ronaldo against, I think it was Portsmouth, I guess. But yeah, so all of those different things, and it's just that like exact opposite of that is Ter Stegen with like so many different games, like Munich and Roma, and there are like all the way back from 2015, actually the season in which we won the treble. From that season, we have like a list of all these shit games that he's had, and it's
we can
just
add
crazy.
Monaco to that recently, but
Exactly.
fine.
It's that's just another entry to the list. So I'm happy. I'm honestly very happy that we are doing so well. Every every single player in Hansi Flick's 11, apart from Ter Stegen until recently, every single player has outperformed themselves in terms of what they did last year. At least all the players who have played on a consistent basis. So that includes players like Rafinha, Lewandowski, Yamal, and in the midfield, everybody just keeps on getting rotated. So we don't have a lot of like consistency in that. But even then, Pedri is also looking like he's going to get back to his old form with more goals in his bag. And Gavi is just like it's just a monster waiting to be unleashed, in my opinion. I think that he'll hit the ground running and then some. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much about it. Even Kubarsi, I just saw today. I saw that there's this another stats guy on Twitter, and he posts like stats from all these like different players by comparing them, and Kubarsi and Virgil van Dijk have the exact same stats for 2024 and 2025 season. Like all the metrics, exact same. They've hit all of the same like pointers in the metrics. They've hit all of the same. So that just shows the level at which this kid is performing at, and being able to step toe to toe with like the best people, like the best players in the world is just it's like hats off to him to be able to
I
do that.
think we can all tell how well Barca. I think I said this in the group earlier also that when Hansi Flick is being criticized for winning just 1-0,
Mm,
that's when you guys are doing well, because
mm,
because before that 1-0 you guys were 5-3-0, 4-0, loads of goals. And I
mm,
think the report, yeah, idiotic question from the reporter, but it's also a very good indication of how well Barca is doing, that them
mm,
winning 1-0 is now just 1-0,
mm,
while we would say last season a 1-0 victory would be something of celebrated over the top, which is
mm,
understandable considering the situation. So yeah, I mean,
mm,
from what I've seen of Barca, they've been exceptional, and I think they're undefeated in 7 games now, 7 or 6,
mm.
I'm not sure. So
7.
yeah, 7 games undefeated, and Madrid is undefeated, but they had two draws, very idiotic draws, and I think they're
Mm,
4 points behind Barcelona, and that
mm,
gap is going to be difficult for Madrid to catch up upon, because
mm.
it's going to come down to the Clásicos. It's honestly going
Yeah.
to come down to the Clásicos, how Barca do in the Clásico, and I have a
Mm,
feeling that I don't think they will lose a Clásico. I mean, I don't draw come. I don't know, but I don't think Barca
mm.
are going to lose a Clásico this season,
No,
because they are doing
I
that well.
would, yeah, I would
We have
definitely hope that we
actually
don't.
we are
Yeah.
exactly 1 month to the Classico where yeah,
Hmm.
from this date. So we'll probably get our first
And
answers. Yeah.
yeah,
But
and
I
another
think
thing is
it's
that Mbappe is injured now, so he'll like obviously not that long of an injury for him. He's going to come back in 3 weeks, but the only thing that we don't know about is his like match fitness. So he will be back before Clasico.
Also, he will be missing Atletico Madrid match, which is
Hmm.
which. And if you remember, by the way, Madrid are on unbeaten 38 match streak or something. The last time they
yeah.
lost was to Atletico Madrid last year. So
Hmm.
Atletico is one team that can cause them problems, and they do not have Mbappe for that match. So
Hmm.
if they drop points to Atletico, that's just another dagger into Madrid's title hopes. So
Hmm.
yeah, Mbappe might be back for Clasico, but for the derby, Madrid derby, he's not there, so that can affect them.
I mean, see, I would be more than happy to hope that Madrid drop even more points in the derby this week. But then comes the controversial, conversation of like referees and cheating. I mean, we are playing in a league where kicking somebody in the nuts is not getting you red carded. So I have no
Yeah,
hopes
yeah. I
of,
mean, I'll agree with that. I think that if you're talking about the Hendrick incident, that was a red.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was a red.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely
So,
right.
it's.
anyways, the
Hmm,
that's what like the first talking aspect of La Liga is Barca. The other talking
hmm.
aspect is Madrid. We'll get to the Endrick kick, but before the Endrick kick, let's talk about the Endrick penalty which he got. So there's a law that
Which
states
one?
that yeah. So
Which
actually,
Madrid penalty are you talking about?
yeah, they've been
There
awarded
are a lot
twice.
of them. That
Yeah,
you'll have
but
to
I'm
go down a
talking about
list,
the
bro.
one where
Hmm.
Endrick was probably fouled outside the box, but a penalty was given. So I'll first tell you guys the law, and then you guys give me your take on it. So the law, according to the law, if you look into the letter T, if a player is being fouled and then he's going onto the box, then a penalty needs to be awarded. So by the letter, yes, it is probably a penalty. But then, if you look at the images, he falls onto the ground, right? That point of contact is way outside the box. And probably his entire body doesn't even go into the D box. But yes, he's been awarded a penalty. So now you guys like probably have to get like let's say if
See,
Madrid
I
gets a
think
penalty for
Kaushik,
that and four
yeah.
other yeah. So just to conclude, if a Madrid gets penalty for that and the four other penalties, it's not something that is unusual. But then yeah, do you think it's unjustified
See,
at this
I
point?
will I will give you 2 point. I'll make my response in 2 pointers. The first point is that, as I was alluding to before, that penalty might be the one of the lesser controversial decisions Madrid have gotten in their favor, so to say. Right. But okay, coming to that particular penalty, it's a gray. Okay, the reason we're talking about a penalty is, okay, honestly, is because it's a gray area. Okay, and in a gray area, you can give it either way. But the reason this is getting talked about is because Madrid in this season have had a pattern of getting things in their favor. If they were not having that pattern, and if this would have been given in isolation, maybe this would not being talked about that much, because I honestly think images are always up in the air. The law, letter, and as we say in the Premier League, law is one thing, and how the refs are implementing it is another thing. So maybe if in isolation we were talking about it, either way it could be justified. But I think the reason this gets more, attention is because Murad have had a couple of calls. It's when yes, there are close calls, but when close calls are continuously going towards one side, I think that's when people talk about it. My second pointer is that's what happened to Argentina in 2022 FIFA World Cup, but let's not go there. Over to you, Harsh.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I do agree. It's just it's not just about getting the penalty. It's also about uh not getting the penalty, in my opinion, because the ease with which, or like the the ease of with which the referees are just switching switching on their decision on getting, like, giving somebody a penalty or not giving somebody a penalty is also something that's incredibly frustrating to me in this specific season. Like, you see, and it might be my bias, but you see a guy fall, like you see a guy in a white jersey fall into the box, and immediately it's a penalty. Like, we don't even need to deliberate upon it. We don't need to see the screen. We just know that it's a penalty. And it's gotten to the point that in Getafe, the stadium, I just saw like a joke tweet the other day that in the stadium of like Getafe, we like there were signs, like when you mop a floor, there are signs put on the thing, right? So it says that the floor is wet. If you slip, there will be a penalty to Real Madrid. So that's the level of unseriousness this situation has gotten to. And again, with the Endrick incident, it's exactly the same thing. He was like, it's there is something called traveling in NBA, which is basically you cannot. I'm not entirely sure of the verbatim on it, but it basically is that you cannot carry the ball
Yeah.
like in your hands for a maximum of more than 3 steps, or
Three.
like you have to dribble the ball, right? So exactly the same situation, but here he was outside, like he was a yard or two outside the box when like in the pictures, and he was trying to get away. So tussling with the defender is one thing, and if the defender is like trying to foul you or pull your shirt or something outside, like 2 yards outside the box, then it's a different thing. And he's gotten, like, he could have fallen at any point in time beyond that line, right? Like, he could have fallen, like, and because the challenge was, like, I do agree that the challenge was tough, like it was tough for him to take like handle of that challenge. But the idea that that it is so easy for your club to get a penalty if you can just remotely, like, fall even remotely close to the ball, is just something that is not right, not just for us as the title contenders, but for everybody else who's also fighting relegation. Like, these clubs that Madrid is getting points against, they need those points. They need those points to stay out of relegation. There is like a huge, social debate about it. Like, that's not even the conversation right now, but it's just that they need those points more than we do, because we can fight when it comes to these matches for us, like Clásicos and stuff, we can fight them. Like, we can fight those games like neck and neck, like shoulder to shoulder, we can fight them. But these like minnow teams cannot do that unless they have like an absolute, like, park the bus kind of a shitty tactic that they have, that they can just implement during the, like, throughout those 90 minutes, that they just dig their way into the ground and they just don't let the team score. But it's just unfair on all of these teams. And then again, it just happens every match week, the same thing is happening. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Robert Lewandowski got booted in the chest yesterday. He got booted by another player in the chest, and there was no penalty given. So I don't know what a player has to do from our team to just get a penalty. What kind of a, you know, assault needs to happen to them so for them to get a penalty in this league, but then that's just the way it is.
So
I'm
that
getting
goes.
deja vu
Yeah.
from last year's Premier League, because not last year, man. Every year, almost every year, we have these decisions, not just Liverpool centric. I'm saying these decisions going in favor of Manchester City. I think Everton City 2 years ago, that Rodri, the multiple instances I can point out where, as you said, a normal player, if a Liverpool player, for example, if Van Dijk boots someone on the chest, he will get a red card or something, or the other team will get a penalty or something. But you can have City players doing that and nothing's happening. And that's happened for some time now. It's just that not flagrantly obvious in the Premier League, because the Premier League's refs in general are also so shit that there is a lot of bad decisions going around, that the biased decisions so-called got covered out in the name of human errors, because Premier League also has genuine human errors because they are also shit. So they get mixed up. But in the La Liga, it's more blatantly obvious because, yeah, the human errors are lesser, but these are also human errors of a different kind.
Yeah. So
So
there are
yeah.
actually
Yeah, I
two
mean,
things which
yeah.
I remembered. One is, of course, like the defender who was pulling Hendrick's shirt would have wanted to bring him down outside the box, because that's something that if you play football, you try to get that
Mm,
foul outside the box to avoid a penalty. It's usually not a foul that is done with malice intent. It's just done to like save your team from like probably conceding a penalty. A lot of players do this.
mm.
They concede a yellow if it's a counter attack. So that's probably what he
Yeah,
would have
like
thought.
Chiellini against Saka in Euro final.
Yes,
If
exactly. Yeah, these are all
yeah.
fouls which we know what the intention is for. So the ref probably should also. I mean, how blind is he? He knows the player has been constantly following him. He's been doing it so that Endrick doesn't get in the box, and he also doesn't get into the box. But anyways, so this is one. Second thing is, since Harsh mentioned about smaller teams, if I'm not wrong, last year Real Madrid played a team, I think, that was last on the table. I don't know if they've won one game or zero. I think it was between 0 and 1. They took a lead of 2-0 at Bernabeu, but then, if I'm not wrong, bad refereeing decisions. They didn't get a penalty. They actually scored a third goal, but that wasn't counted. Madrid got a penalty. They came back. I think
Yeah.
they scored 3-2. And I remember we had a discussion. I was like, I just felt bad. Why rob? I wouldn't say rob, but then, yeah, I just felt like there was injustice done to the smaller team. But anyways, Madrid got
Yeah.
away with it. So that's probably it. Yeah.
There is a lot of getting away with it that happens with these like things, and it like it ties in with the like the whole Vinicius situation every time. Like there's something every match week he's just giving us more topics to talk about that have nothing to do with racism, but it's just that like his antics on the pitch and whatever he does, like all of the animatronics that he's doing on the pitch are like just fine, and it's just all hunky dory with whatever he does. But Robert Lewandowski touches his nose and gets banned for 3 matches. Like it make it make sense to me by why this happens. And there is like absolutely everybody's not being held to the same standard, because if everybody was being held to the same standard, um, Madrid won't even be in the top 5 right now. But that's just the way it is, and that's the kind of situation that we're fighting. We're not just fighting all these different teams to be in the top of the league. We're also fighting all these different, invisible obstacles that are in our way.
Okay, and one final point before we move into Premier League. So you guys know that the Ballon d'Or is around the corner, right? So we've
Mm,
seen that the last couple of years, Ballon d'Ors has been just won by Messi and Real Madrid players, and probably we've had like certain Real Madrid players win it more than once. So if you think about it, we've had teams over the past which
Certain.
has yeah,
I
which has
mean, there is
won
only one who more won it more than once, but sure, certain.
yeah, a certain someone who's just broken the record for the most goals. Yeah, Cristiano. Okay, so point is we've had teams that has won sextuple, we've had teams that have won treble. And I'm not saying like these teams like they had like one or they had many players that probably deserved, but definitely there have been like one figure in each of these clubs. I'm just taking these two examples who probably should have like gotten it, but they've not.
Kaushik, the thing
Yeah.
is simple. It is a PR award. We all know that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you complete yourself first. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So my doubt being here is that we've had like other teams which probably deserved it, but more often than not, it's just been Barca and Madrid. And now that like Messi has left and he's probably virtually out of contention because he plays in the American League, it just makes it very obvious that. And let's probably take Harsh's perspective here, because Rodri seems like a better fit for this year's award. But we all know that Vinny is probably going to win it. I'm not saying Vinny
mm.
doesn't deserve it, but I think it's probably a better option than Vinny this year. But yeah, so what do you make of it? Like another Madrid player, another year, like it's just becoming too obvious. Like
It's I think for like France football, it's just low hanging fruit. Like they just see that Madrid. Okay, so we know that like everybody in Europe knows that Madrid is going to perform in UCL. Now UCL forms like the majority of the decision in a non-international competition year. Madrid or like sorry, UCL forms the majority of the deciding factor when it comes to Ballon d'Ors, right? And this has been the theme for like the past decade or so. It's only the only differential has ever been in like the international competition seasons when you see the performance that players are having in those international competitions, and then there's just another added element of like, okay, who can win it this time. Obviously it has been more like 50-50 in recent times, that as you said, either Messi is winning it or somebody from Madrid is winning it. But if and they did change the criteria like 2 years ago. Before, I think when Benzema won it, that year they had changed the criteria. And according to those particular standards, Benzema was like fair and square, head and shoulders above almost everybody in that year to win the Ballon d'Or. And then that at that point in time it was fair. But now it's gotten down. They've just like done that this like they've made this decision to of like we'll measure the whole calendar year, all of the performances and everything. Rodri has done okay. So they have set a timeline that okay, we'll fix this timeline and we'll see the player's performance between this timeline. When it comes to that, this was also another international competition year. We had Euros, and we also had Copa America. Brazil did Jack Diddley squad in Copa America, by the way. They did not even make past the quarters, I think. And meanwhile, Rodri has led his side to a Euros final and won the whole thing. And they have also, okay, he didn't play, but yeah, Spain in general also has won the Olympics. So my point is that he has done way more than Vinny has in terms of just purely UCL and the league. Also, they haven't won like this guy Rodri has come off the back of a treble season, by the way. It's not like in the last season he didn't do anything. He has done something, and he was also, I think he was the captain, or maybe he was not. But yeah, he was still a very pivotal piece in the City midfield. And like without him, they would have struggled way too much in terms of getting that treble. So, I mean, I know that bias plays into this, and I don't want a Madrid player winning it, but it's just that Rodri, in terms of just criteria alone, Rodri deserves it. But then, if they give it to Vinny, I'll just understand because it's not like he hasn't done anything. It's just that what he has done pales in comparison to what Rodri has done, in my opinion.
Yeah,
See,
Vibhas.
where I slightly disagree is that I agree mostly. And first of all, let's just acknowledge that Ballon d'Or is 99.5% a PR award. Okay,
Yeah.
and PR is very necessary for you to properly to win an award.
Mm,
And I'm not talking about in many point one, but we could go into multiple cases where you could say X deserved it over Messi or Ronaldo. A third
yeah.
player could have won it, technically deserved it more, especially in international tournament years, because
Mm,
especially pre 2016, pre 2018, Messi and Ronaldo were not exactly doing the best in international tournaments, be it
mm,
2010, be it 2014,
mm,
or the
yeah.
Copas and Euros in between. So yeah, it is, and as Harsh said, the criteria also changed very recently. Where I slightly disagree is that yes, Spain won the World Cup, and sorry, Euros, my bad. Spain won the Euros, and obviously they had a very great team performance. But from that Spain point of view, I don't think Rodri was the pivotal player of Spain. Spain had a very fantastic overall team performance, and obviously Rodri had a decent enough important role to play. But comparing it to City, where I said City still struggle without Rodri. If you, for example, Rodri is injured right now, I'm sure that he'll struggle a bit. I mean, they got Gundogan back, so they might not. But last season, I think there's a stat last season that they were getting lesser points without Rodri than compared to when they were playing with Rodri, and there was a
Mm,
substantial difference, especially in the goals being conceded by City. So yeah, Rodri, especially in the treble season, was very pivotal for City, and but I don't think that he was that pivotal for Spain. Okay, but that does not change the argument of who should win the Ballon d'Or. As I said, international tournament here, they should consider that. See, the problem I've had with Ballon d'Or is the inconsistency every year. Every year, they will make up some new logic to
Mm.
give XYZ player an award. If we are being uniform, if Luka Modric deserved the award in 2018, so does Rodri in 2024. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, we can make that example because Modric got it on the how he performed in the World Cup,
Mm.
and obviously Modric would not be someone who would be scoring goal assists because he's a midfielder, right? But people recognize how crucial he was for getting Croatia to the finals, and they didn't even win, by the way. Which was for Croatia
Mm.
getting to the finals is obviously a very big thing, and Modric was pivotal to that, and that was recognized. But if by the standard that Vinny deserved the award this year, by that standard, Ronaldo should have gotten it that year. So
Mm.
my issue is that every year they will have a different standard. So, for example, the famous Messi Lewandowski debate.
Mm.
I mean, again, as Harsh said, bias does speak into that. I'm not denying that. But my problem is more of the inconsistency in the criteria they have, because every year they will add something that will just sound like, acha, ha. By as Harsh said, by XYZ criteria, this guy does deserve the award. But if it was like previous year, this guy would have deserved the award.
Mm.
So that's where it gets a little sketchy. And for me, be it Rodri, be it, I would not mind any of them. See, as I said, there is no bias in that sense. None of my players are involved there, which is that is another problem I have. I'm not saying any Liverpool player deserved a top five, but to have, if you have seen the list, some of those players, having those players are not having Salah in top 30 when he scored more goals than Vinicius, by the way. Just letting you know. We didn't win jack shit. That's the point. That's the reason Salah is not in the top 10 contention. But top 30 contenders, if you see the name and not seeing Salah there is just surprising. Or the Yashin Trophy, not seeing Allison there again. So let's not go there. My point is, without bias, this year I would not mind any of them winning. By any of them, I mean Vinicius or Rodri. And Kaushik knows this how big of a Bellingham fan I am. But Bellingham, if Bellingham is winning the Ballon d'Or, then it's just a shame. Because if it is a Madrid player who has to win it, it obviously should be Vinicius. Because Bellingham had an insane first half last season, but he was not good in the second half, and the knockout Champions League game as good as he was in the first half from a Ballon d'Or point of view. So if it's a Madrid player, it should be. I would even rate Cruz over Bellingham in a Bellingham Ballon d'Or contention. But yeah, as we know, it's between Vinicius and Rodri, and I would not mind either of them winning it because you could use 10 criteria from past 10 years to justify either of them. So yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
no. So Jude did
Yeah.
something which probably Modric did, quite similar, but then not exactly the same. He had a good season. He's almost his GA is close to what Vinicius did. He took England to the final, not exactly just his performances, but there were games that where he actually scored the winner to take them to the next round. I think it was a knockout game. So, but anyways,
The difference is that, as I said, one thing is that Jude was exceptional in the first half, but the second half of the season he was not that great. Modric had a consistent performance, and there's a difference between getting Croatia to the World Cup final and England to the Euro. England were expected to be there. Yes, Bellingham had scored a few winners, but he was not the only person carrying it. While I won't say Modric was the only person, but he had a very big carrying role in that World Cup. So it's a little different. So
no, no,
yeah, I mean, Jude will
this
obviously be in top five. Jude
I
will
think,
obviously he'll be in top
this
five.
competition is a joke because we remember we have seen years where Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar were the top three, and I have seen the
Yeah,
year where Chelsea won. We've had Jorginho
yeah,
finish top
yeah. I
three.
said we
It's a
can
Mm.
make
joke. Yeah,
arguments in the
yeah,
Messi Ronaldo years where you could say Neymar or Suarez could have won it, for example,
yeah.
right? You could make
Mm.
similar, and then that is where the PR thing comes, and this applies to both Messi and Ronaldo, because Messi and Ronaldo were Messi and Ronaldo. Sometimes people like Neymar or Suarez did end up getting overshadowed. I think Neymar 2015, if I'm not wrong, had a very good case of winning it. But
Mm.
so
Yeah.
that's just example. So as I said, from you could use 10 different criteria to justify both Vinicius and Rodri this year. So I would not mind either of them. But Bellingham, I would
Yeah.
mind. If it has to be a multiplayer, it should be Vinicius.
Okay, fine. So to wrap up this La Liga special, we thought we'll cover Premier League, but it's almost like just La Liga. What is your take on this year's La Liga title fight? Is it just going to be between Barca and Madrid, or do you think Atletico probably could join the fight?
Oh no, they're definitely joining the fight. They are not. They've never been they've never been a side to not join the fight, irrespective of what match week it is. I know that Simeone is just going to conjure up some different kind of a extraterrestrial, strategies to put a thorn in the sides of not just Madrid, like Real Madrid, but Barcelona as well, because they have made very good signings this season.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I was about to say. Impressive
signings that
signing.
have absolutely. Okay, so they have not like entirely hit the ground running, but they have found their stride. They like Conor Gallagher, Alvarez, and there was another guy.
Orlov,
I think, yeah. So these
striker.
guys are going to find their pace, and the moment they find their pace, it's actually going to be very dangerous, and especially for Madrid because they have to face each other like in the next match week, and they don't have Mbappe anymore. So they are already struggling by playing three left wingers in their front line. So like I would love nothing more than to see them drop points, even lose the match if that is possible in this league anymore. But I would love to see that happen. And then yeah, I mean we just have to continue what we're doing in the league and
Also,
in
yeah.
Champions League as
Al-
well. And more, the more we can do it, the more I think that is going to be a good year silverware wise.
Yeah, Vibhas.
Also, I think Atletico this season is not your stereotypical Simeone team where they'll just sit
Mm.
back. I mean, they have not been for that for last 1.5 years. It's just the reputation Simeone has gotten. To be fair,
Mm.
because there was a time they were there like that. But yeah, as we have discussed, they have had made some great signings, and they have Alvarez. I mean, that is understated how that important that guy could be for Atletico.
Exactly.
Right,
Mm.
Alvarez is obviously, we know how great of a player he is, and unfortunately he was playing in City till now, where he would obviously be overshadowed by the likes, not just Haaland, even KDB. I mean, I know KDB is not playing this season a lot, but still they have Haaland, they have KDB. It's City, it's a team of superstars. So obviously Alvarez is not going to get a lot of chances. But at Atletico, he will probably, as I said, it'll take some time to hit the stride because it's a new team, new league, everything. But they can be party poopers in multiple places, so to say. And
Mm.
especially coming game week, as I said, they don't have Mbappe, and their attack, Real's attack would probably be Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Endrick or someone. I don't know. They might play Bellingham striker again. See, Ancelotti could be very creative. The thing with Ancelotti being creative, it could either work out really well and just they could just destroy them, or it could be an El Clasico 2022 where it just backfire. I think he was playing Cruz false nine or something. Yeah, Cruz false nine was there. So Ancelotti's weirdness could also backfire. It has backfired. I think last season Atletico also, they were playing Cruz as too high up or something. So also not Cruz, Modric. My bad. My Cruz has retired. Sorry. But Modric as a false nine and everything. So without Mbappe, they will struggle because Mbappe may not have been the best player in the league or something, but yeah, maybe through penalties or whatever, he is getting those goals, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, he was also creating some chances. And I think now the problem with Toni Kroos gone is Madrid do not have a player who can constantly create chances for them,
Mm.
because especially with Bellingham being off color this season. So yeah.
No, I think probably with Mbappe gone, Real can probably find their last year form, the UCL form.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
will. They will
Mm.
probably play Vinicius and Rodrigo up
Yeah.
top with Bellingham at the diamond bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have attackers on the bench. They have Arda Güler, they have Endrick, but I don't think Ancelotti will start Endrick in the derby, especially after what he did last match, because I think inside even Ancelotti knows that he just survived. So and if you start him in a derby where anyway tensions will be high, he'll end up getting he even a Madrid player will get a red card when it's Endrick in a Madrid derby. So obviously Ancelotti does not want that. So
I
yeah.
mean, I know
Yeah.
it's too early, but I think Barca could go all the way this season. And the reason being,
Fingers
one is
crossed.
because the Xavi's first season as well, it was like this only. Very impressive, lot of big wins. Forget the other aspects like your leagues and your UCL and whatso, but in the league, that is your La Liga, they were very impressive. And I think Flick is also someone who knows how to win titles. And if he's able to do this with an injury-ridden squad, probably when your players are back, I think he'll have much more resources at hand. So I think Barca
Yeah.
could tip Madrid, and I think
Provided other players don't get injured by that time. But yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. Yeah, I think it'll be Barca, Madrid, and then Atletico could finish third. The rest of it, like we really don't care. Maybe Girona could finish fourth.
This will be the top three. This will be the top three for sure. And I think it will be Barca, Madrid, Atletico in that order.
Or
So yeah.
City's sister team could do something, probably finish third.
Not again. Not again.
Not again. They lost all their good players.
Oh yeah,